What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here as always on the Casa D18 Studios channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams, and today we pick up where Star Trek The Motion Picture left off, continue to boldly go where no man has gone before, with Star Trek II The Wrath of Khan, starring William Shatner, Ricardo Montalban, Leonard Nimoy, DeForest Kelley, James Doohan, George Takei, Walter Cohen, Nichelle Nichols, and Kirstie Alley. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. And we're going to keep on going here with our Star Trek part of Science Fiction Month. Star Trek II The Wrath of Khan from 1982. And I know by a lot of people's standards, this is probably the best Star Trek film. Let's get right into it here, shall we? Captain's log, stardate 202120.5. It's the year 2285, and Admiral James T. Kirk is overseeing a simulator session of Captain Spock's trainees. In the simulation, Lieutenant Savick commands the USS Enterprise on a rescue mission to save the crew of the damaged ship, the Kobayashi Maru. But it is attacked by Klingon cruisers and critically damaged. The simulation is designed as a no-win scenario in order to test the character of the Starfleet officers. Later on that day, Dr. McCoy joins his friend Kirk in order to celebrate his birthday. And seeing Kirk in low spirits, Bones advises Kirk to get a new command and not grow old behind a desk. Meanwhile, the Starship Reliant is on a mission to search for a lifeless planet in order to test the Genesis device, a technology designed to reorganize dead matter into a habitable world. Reliant officers Commander Pavel Chekhov and Captain Clark Terrell beam down to evaluate a planet which they believe to be Ceti Alpha 6. And once they arrive, they are captured by the genetically engineered tyrant Khan Noonien Singh, who explains that they are actually on Ceti Alpha 5. 15 years prior, Kirk exiled Khan and his fellow genetically engineered supermen to Ceti Alpha 5 after they attempted to take over his ship. The neighboring planet exploded, which devastated the surface of Ceti Alpha 5 and caused the deaths of several of Khan's followers, including Khan's wife. Khan then implants Chekhov and Terrell with eel larvae, which renders them susceptible to mind control, and uses them to capture the Reliant. Khan learns of the Genesis device and attacks the space station Regula 1, where the device is being developed by Kirk's former lover, Dr. Carol Marcus, and their son, David. Kirk assumes command of the Enterprise after it receives a distress call from Regula 1, while it's on a training cruise. En route, the Enterprise is ambushed and crippled by the Reliant. Khan offers to spare Kirk's crew if they relinquish all materials related to the Genesis. Instead, Kirk stalls for time and remotely lowers the Reliant's shields, which allows the Enterprise to counterattack. Khan is forced to retreat and undergo repairs, while the Enterprise limps to Regula 1. Kirk, McCoy, and Savick beam to the station and find Terrell and Chekhov alive, along with the slaughtered members of Marcus's team. They soon find Carol and David hiding Genesis deep within the nearby planetoid. Khan orders Terrell and Chekhov to kill Kirk, as he's been using them as spies. But Terrell resists the eel's influence and kills himself instead, while Chekhov collapses and the eel leaves his body. Khan transports the Genesis aboard the Reliant, intending to maroon Kirk on the lifeless planetoid, but ends up being tricked by Kirk and Spock's decoded arrangements for a rendezvous. Kirk directs the Enterprise into the nearby Mutara Nebula. Conditions inside the nebula render shields completely useless and compromise the targeting systems, which makes the Enterprise and Reliant evenly matched. Spock notes that Khan's tactics indicate inexperience in three-dimensional combat, which Kirk exploits in order to disable the Reliant. Khan is mortally wounded and activates the Genesis, which will reorganize all the matter in the nebula, including the Enterprise. Kirk's crew detects the activation and attempts to move out of range, but they will not be able to escape the nebula without the ship's warp drive, which is inoperable. Spock goes to the engine room in order to restore the warp drive, which is flooded with radiation, and McCoy attempts to prevent Spock's entry, but Spock incapacitates him with a Vulcan nerve pinch and performs a mind meld, telling Bones to remember. Spock repairs the warp drive, and the Enterprise escapes the explosion, which ends up forming a brand new planet. As Spock dies of radiation poisoning, he urges Kirk not to grieve, as his decision to sacrifice himself to save the crew was a logical one. And our film ends with Spock's space burial, revealing that his coffin is on the surface of the Genesis planet, which will set the stage for our next film. Okay. As I said in the intro here, I know a lot of people consider this the best, if not one of the best, Star Trek films that there are. And no doubt, I definitely enjoyed it. But in all honesty, I found The Wrath of Khan to be a little bit more boring than the motion picture, the one we did yesterday. I think part of it, all honesty, we already established yesterday that I'm not a big Star Trek fan. I think part of it is the fact that this continues a story from the TV series that I've never seen. If I had seen the episode that Khan appeared on during the original 60s TV show, maybe this movie would be a little bit better to me. But I feel like there's too much going on that I don't have frame of reference for me to fully enjoy Khan's revenge mission the way I'm supposed to. I don't know what else to say. I do like, Kirstie Alley in her role of Saavik. I thought she did a tremendous job. I wish they could have brought her back for future installments, but she ended up getting way too busy with Cheers and other roles that she had in the late 80s, early 90s. Among them, Madhouse with John Lithgow, and of course the Look Who's Talking franchise. But I did enjoy her character in this film. I liked the dichotomy between Bones and Spock, because Bones and Spock always seem to be kind of going at each other for which one is Kirk's best friend. And to see Bones try to prevent Spock from essentially killing himself for the betterment of the ship, I felt was very touching. Like they said a couple times in the film, sometimes the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. So Spock sacrificing himself in order to save the lives of the rest of the ship totally made sense. It didn't make his death any less sad, because it was still tragic to watch him perish, but it made sense in the scheme of things. I did enjoy this movie, let me be clear. I just didn't enjoy this one as much as I enjoyed yesterday's. So, that being said, when it comes to my ranking for this film, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 stars. I know that's going to surprise a lot of people, especially Jeff, if he watches, because he's one of the main ones that talks up the even numbers and talks down the odd numbers. But like I said, I feel the fact that this movie ties into an episode of the TV series that I've never seen, I feel like that holds me back some from really enjoying this film at the level that I should. Of course, this film does set up a 3-film arc within the saga: 2, The Wrath of Khan and Spock's death, and 3, The Search for Spock, and 4, The Voyage Home. A little trilogy within the greater saga, if you will. So I will be curious to see where the story progresses with tomorrow's installment, Star Trek III: The Search for Spock. Make sure you get out there on the social media. Try to get those hashtags trending for me. Hashtag Casa D18 Studios, hashtag Renegades Reviews, hashtag Renegade Returns, and of course, the ever popular hashtag Shenanigans. We interrupt this episode of Renegades Reviews for an important announcement about
merchandising.
Merchandising? What's that?
Merchandising. Come, I'll show you. Merchandising, merchandising, where the real money's made.
Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network for all the t-shirts you see here from the West Coast professor, Jeff Meacham himself. You can get shirts for the Jeff Meacham Network, Talk Wrestling, as well as the red and gold Meachamania shirts. And while you're there, don't forget to get your shirts of the Casa D18 Studios Brotherhood, the Dads on Wrestling shirt, the Renegade JJ Williams, Statboy Sports Bar, and the hashtag StatBoyApproved shirt. Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network and score your shirts today. Make sure you get out there. Do what that commercial just told you. Go to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network for all the official merchandise of the Casa D18 Studios Brotherhood. Get you your Renegade JJ Williams shirt, your Dad's Not Always on Wrestling shirt, Statboy Sports Bar, hashtag StatBoyApproved, hashtag Shenanigans. Get you your official merchandise of the Jeff Meacham Network. 3 different designs of the Jeff Meacham Network logo to choose from. Meachamania, Talk Wrestling, and so much more. Tomorrow, right back here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, make sure you tune in for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, when, as I touched on a minute ago, I will be continuing the story and we get to Star Trek III: The Search for Spock. You're not going to want to miss out on that as we continue this little trilogy within the saga and see where the story takes us from here in Spock's funeral. To all my fans that have been watching the live stream, the premiere, leaving all your comments over here, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate you guys. To all my fans that check it out on demand later on and leaving your comments down here, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate each and every one of my loyal fans. Thank you for tuning in. I will see you guys tomorrow, and live long and prosper.